curriculum anyway, we're just looking at ways that we can implement extra resources to support our teachers as they are able to develop and to present the curriculum in our elementary classrooms. What I want to talk about just very briefly is this is a shift in thinking for us. What you have here is this is kind of like the old way of thinking, which is different subjects and different silos. So you have your math silo and your design thinking or career standards. And what we really seek to do here is to kind of blow this up a little bit and really kind of pull things together to make it memorable for students. And so one of the ways that we're going to do this is our goal is to bring numbers into real life. And so what I mean by that is I'm sure you've all seen a worksheet like this in your math class. You've got your math facts there. They are numbers on a paper. And as we looked at ways that we could improve what we do for kids, our goal is really to bring these numbers to life. And how do we do that? And one of the ways that we can do that, we feel, is through this idea of a career-centric math instruction. So we have something called the PA career clusters. And what we've done is we've taken some of our units in math with our essential questions and we've aligned them with career standards. So I tried to provide some examples up here for you this evening. You can see like the head chef. How do chefs use math to create recipes for restaurants? How does a landscaper, how do landscape architects use math to design community parks? For a carpenter, how do carpenters use math to plan and build? Physical therapists, how do they use math to help people get stronger? So this is our unit essential question aligned with this PA career cluster. So instead of just going to the guidance counselor or having our career development time, we're finding ways to infuse this into our math instruction. So I wanted to share just an example of this. This is a kindergarten standard. This is from the state, and it says one of the standards in kindergarten is to apply one-to-one correspondence to count the numbers, the number of objects. So in the past, traditional math instruction, this is what it looks like. It's on a worksheet, and they'll say, count the number of circles in the square. And so kids would count that up, and they would write the number. Now what we've done is we said, let's look at it through a career standard lens. So now what we're doing is we're asking kids to think like a carpenter, and we ask them to build a structure given certain materials off of a stem card, or Legos, or pipe cleaners. We want you to design a structure, and when you're done, we want you to count up what you created. So how many Legos did you use? And if they used all Legos, how many green Legos did you use? How many blue Legos? How many pipe cleaners did you use? So they're doing one-to-one correspondence. It's just not the traditional way that we're used to seeing with, again, just a number on a worksheet or a boring drawing like this. So this is the way that we're trying to support our teachers. We are infusing project-based learning. I just gave you an example of that with the idea of you're a carpenter and we want you to build a structure. So you can see how we're creating a document to support teachers for every unit of their math instruction. So we have the essential question, the PBL says that problem-based learning. We have some research involved, like what does a carpenter do? Let's learn a little bit about what a carpenter does at the kindergarten level. We have that design process, create a structure, and we also have rubrics, a stream evaluation to see how well they collaborated with others, the way that they thought through the problem, their innovation, all of those different pieces are aligned to the rubrics that we have for the district. So again, pulling down those silos so that we have this in our math instruction. There are other pieces to this as well. We're still doing our fact fluencies. It's still important for kids to know their numbers, identify their numbers, and count. Creating a number sense, understanding this number is greater than another. We're still keeping our calendar routines. We've received some training on this in the past, again, just to bring numbers to life. So we've shown them a snapshot of books on a bookshelf in the library and said, how many books are there? Now, this picture, there's no way you could count all the books, but we want kids to just look at it and say, I think there's 250 books there. Okay, how'd you get to that number? Well, I counted this small section, there was 10 there, and so then I multiplied that to get the number. Again, bringing numbers to real life. When we're supporting our teachers, the units look a lot like this. So we have that career-based project at the end, but we're also trying to help teachers develop these mini lessons. So if I'm a teacher and I give whole group instruction, I'm doing one-to-one correspondence, and we're practicing and we're doing this on our desk, but there's a few students that are showing me as a teacher that they're not grasping the concept yet. We're creating the mini lessons to kind of help that second round of instruction. So for the kid that didn't get this the first time, and you put them into groups so they're working individually or collaboratively, we're going to pull them to a table and we're trying to give you some of the language and maybe a different activity to provide that support for the student. In the past, this was often left up to the teacher. So we're trying to provide additional resources and support and ways to help them see how can I do this in real time during my instruction. We received training on that this past week before the school year started. How can I identify who needs what and to create groups on the spot to give them support at that time, instead of maybe some traditional ways like me, I would be kept in recess all the time. You're not getting this, Doug, so why don't we keep you a little bit longer to get this, right? So now we have this real-time interaction where we're providing these mini lessons to help students. So what we've done so far, this is for kindergarten, first and second grade. This is where we're starting. We provided the initial training, again, right before the school year started. We're going to be offering bi-weekly support meetings with Mr. Korb, who you'll hear from in just a second, myself. Stacy Groff is our curriculum leadership team member for math at the elementary level. You know Meg Rischel and Dr. Becker. We're all there just to support them in their understanding and implementation of these resources. In addition, Mr. Korb, again, who you hear from in just a second, does a fantastic job of being available and providing one-to-one training for teachers that still might struggle with some of the implementation. So really a great question, obviously, is how are we going to assess the success of this program? How do we know it's working? So I believe you're aware of the badges. I know Josh is going to talk about that a little bit. But at the kindergarten level, man, that's a fantastic way to do that. What badges? How many badges are they earning? Are they getting the number sense? Are they getting the one-to-one correspondence badge? At the other grade levels where we don't have badging yet, in first and second grade, but we'll work in that direction, we have other ways to assess. So we have something called AimsWeb, which is our benchmark. You guys have seen AimsWeb data before, so we're going to continue to monitor the AimsWeb data to see how students are performing. We're going to get feedback from the principals that are watching this in action in the classroom, the teachers who are implementing it, even student surveys. What do you see? How do you like math? Are you enjoying math? Are you enjoying the projects that we're doing? Just to hear what their thoughts are on the assignments. This comes into pull some stuff that Rob's been doing with reaching out to the community with the portrait of a graduate. This is an exciting part for us is, we're talking about a carpenter or we're talking about a physical therapist. They're in the community. We have parents that take on these roles. We want to really try to connect with those resources and find ways to bring them in the classroom. So it's one thing to talk about a carpenter, but man, a kindergarten class would be blown away if a carpenter walks into their classroom and gets out some tools and shows them some of the ways that they use numbers in their job. So we're excited to just continue some of the work that Rob's been doing with his group, pull that all together, and just, again, our way of trying to modernize what we do with some innovative practices. Finally, I just thought this is, as a board, you'd love to see this. What's the cost to the districts that we've, in terms of pulling these resources together? You can see the curriculum writing rate pay that we've had so far, and that was incorporated into the 2021 budget. We had 5 units written at the going rate of $26 per hour. We have 7 units left. But what I want to tell you, what was no cost to the district is we already have the badging in place. We already have the assessments in place that we've talked about. We have a curriculum housing or a curriculum warehouse that we're working on. And the training all came from Josh, myself, and others throughout the year. So I want to say this just as a quick plug. If you don't know that this guy back here, TIS, he has been an asset to the elementary team and the whole district right away. What he can do with Google and how he can create things that meet the needs of our kids at Eastern York, I'm telling you, things that we would pay thousands and thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of dollars for, he can do for free and do it better. And so this is an example of this, how he's able to pull this, where he's going to house it, and his knowledge and understanding of those things just enhances our district to a whole other level. We're really lucky to have Josh. So I just want to make sure I pointed out that those things that are no cost have a lot to do with this guy behind me right here. So any questions about the math that I can answer for you?
Pretty straightforward.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to turn things over to Josh then.